Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Sorry, I already said the welcome. You turn that mic on when I tell you to next time. I'm turning into
I don't think you know
dominatrix.
Kyle. Laurie Kilmartin she's a headliner.
You know who else didn't know? The guy downstairs we met last night.
Oh my! Okay, so this is the
first
third
let's say hi.
episode. Hello.
Jackie and Laurie Show. Yeah.
I'm Jackie Cation. That's Laurie Kilmartin.
Correct.
We do stand-up comedy and have for about 7,000 years cumulatively. And so
Yeah.
we walk downstairs for here at the Meltdown.
This
at
is
the
our
Nerdist.
third podcast in 2 days.
Right,
Because
so-
we're just loading up because Jackie has a ton of road work.
Yeah, I'm going to Canada for 2 weeks, and with our next one, I will have been in Canada for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I will have survived.
Yeah. So yesterday we do 2 in a row, and then we sort of trudge downstairs and we run into
a guy, just the shiniest frickin' music mogul dude in the world.
I would describe him as homeless looking.
He was, but he had that sort of that expectation of, hey, I discover people,
Right? Yeah.
And he had that business, and he actually said that at one point. But I acted poorly. I will admit that I acted poorly when we met this gentleman because
You
I was
went right
tired.
to it.
But you started it. I will say this is that I
my-
don't think
she's
that we
already
should
turning on me.
I don't think that we should. We shouldn't necessarily be each other's wingman because it encouraged me because you tried to be nice because he said, do you ladies do stand-up comedy or do you guys? I forget what he said.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember what I remember is him describing this room that he runs. Because first of all, you and I are like, our little ears go up, spots,
Right.
and then he runs a room with a guy named Tommy
From the Comedy Store.
We're like, oh, the guy who never booked us at the Comedy Store who was fired.
That was
So
the first
guy.
thing. The first thing you said
So
was
that's-
when he said, "Wait, that guy never booked me," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the new guy doesn't book me." So, and so
He
we
doesn't
were,
book me either.
and Comedy Store, dude,
But-
dude.
But then he misses all of our cues.
Right,
by the
that
way.
we don't want to talk about.
So he keeps barreling. I admire that sort of obsessive inability to understand that no one gives a shit about what you're saying.
Right,
you know?
he's got his pitch.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. He said, I was in the music industry for 30 years and, I discover people and, this guy does comedy and I do music and I can produce. And so we're doing, what do they call it?
Comedy feedback.
That's it. Oh, Jesus H. Christ. Feedback.
First of all, and you're getting feedback from the guy at who used to work at the Comedy Store
And got fired. Yeah. And then the other guy you're getting feedback from is Charlie Brown. This round-headed, crazy dude.
We should go. And not only that, but every listener of this show should flood. We should go to Comedy
La
Feedback
Brea
and then
and-
post our feedback online.
Well, he didn't enjoy our feedback, I'll tell you that. Because here was he said, so the greatest thing about it is that it'll be like an open mic, and then you'll get feedback from like industry types. And then Laurie Kilmartin, you said, and you tried to say it as nicely as possible.
Yeah.
You said, well, you should probably know that we've both been doing it almost 30 years, long time. We've been doing it almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, feedback. And I just sort of lost. I was like, did you say, I don't want feedback. And then I mimed cocking a gun and shooting myself in the mouth.
But he didn't pick up on that.
At all,
No,
which was weird.
He still invited you.
I tried to do it subtly, so maybe it was so subtle that the guy had like the greatest self-absorption cape on ever.
It was admirable, and again, when people like that, I'm like, if I had like 1 ounce
10.
of that, I would be a superstar.
Right. It was cojones the size of Gibraltar.
I really couldn't think of anyone I'd care less about their feedback than those two. What they thought of my act.
Yeah, those two guys.
Oh, my God.
We were just talking about waitresses at comedy clubs starting a podcast.
Yeah.
Waitresses, waiters, wait staff at comedy clubs, their feedback, which I also don't want to hear, I would take with a better grain of salt. I don't really want to hear anybody's feedback.
I would rather hear from the audience after the show who doesn't usually like female comedians but likes me. I would rather talk to that lady or man for an hour and a half than hear Tommy, fired from the Comedy Store, tell me about my act.
Are there different ways that you respond to that? Usually I don't like women comics, but you're really funny. How do you respond?
I stop them. I correct. I'll point to the other female comics that are, coming to the club.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't hear it that much anymore, though. But I'm not doing a ton of road work, so
right.
I'm not in LA.
I've been hearing it less in the last couple of years. I've heard a lot less of it. But
culture's changing. The audience is changing. The audience is getting more female, and the comics are getting
right.
Well, they're either they are or they aren't female. They're not getting more female, but the lineups are getting more female.
I did Uncabaret last night. Totally just popped in, did some hanging out, strung arm my way on a little bit, just hanging out. And then one of the comics didn't show up, and Beth Lapidus said, "Hey, do you want to do a set?" And I was like, "Yeah." Turns out I do.
Smart.
And then I got to go up, and then the guy who was late showed up, and I go, maybe I won't get to. And I said, it's cool. I don't have to go up to be a good, he showed up for a set.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you could maybe both go up. And I said, I'll do a short set. I'll just do 5 and get out of the way.
Less time is better time.
Well, and she goes, no, you do the set. I'm going to cut him. And I was like, what? What just happened? And so I did all the jokes. I did all the new jokes I'm working on.
That's cool. You know what? That's the worst thing about, you went there and you have to pretend that you want to watch other people perform.
But it was Guy Branum and Aaron Foley.
Okay.
And Ian Harvey.
All right. It's easier when it's people you like, but you still don't want.
Right, I still want to go up. I still desperately want to go on stage.
I remember, when you're starting in stand-up, you just have to hang out.
It's just so much hanging.
And maybe the first couple of years it's exciting because you're stand up and you just want to eat it and shove it in your ears and your eyes and your face.
Right, and you just want to hang out with comics all the time and riff and hang out and riff and hang out.
When I moved to New York, I wasn't a drinker, but when I moved to New York, I felt like I'd already done that, and I had to start over.
Right.
And I was barking, and
for sets and
I had already been on Lifetime's Girls' Night Out, so I had a TV credit.
And they still made you bark in Times Square for sex.
Not in Times Square, on Christopher Street.
Oh,
it was
still horrible.
Yeah,
it's
dehumanizing.
It is dehumanizing.
Yeah.
But you got stage time.
Yeah, I did.
That is unfortunate.
On this bar that Randy Credico, who is a political comic, used to run. And it was awesome.
Well, it's always the thing. Whenever you move to a new city or anything, you have to hang out. Nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're the biggest fucking deal in San Francisco. It doesn't matter if you're the biggest deal in Minneapolis. It doesn't matter if you're the biggest deal in Portland or Austin. There's 10,000 comics in Los Angeles or New York.
Although I will say people know more about other comedians in other cities just because of social media. Before it was there would be whole scenes going up in cities and you had no idea who the comedians were or what the scene
and then
was.
they had to show up.
Yeah.
But I always warn the new comics from Minneapolis when they come. I'm like, you have an advantage.
Are they told to look you up?
Yeah,
as they pull out of St. Paul, they go right to Jackie Cation's house.
They're just like, hey, Jackie, and I love Acme so much, and it's my home club that I do. And when people come to Los Angeles, when I came to Los Angeles, there was a comic who, Joni Marchenko. Did you ever get to meet her?
Yeah.
She's executive producer of Will and Grace. She's, she's like a big.
I did meet her.
It's, she got me, she said, when I moved to Los Angeles, she said, I do everybody one favor if I like them, Jackie. And that's it. And I was like, okay, what are you doing? She's like, you're going to be on Murphy Brown. And I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah. So I was an airport cop on Murphy Brown.
Oh my
and she got me my
God.
SAG card.
That's amazing.
It was a hell of a favor.
Are you up to date on your dues?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's SAG after now.
I know. I'm way behind.
And plus, I was on Marin and on Lady Dynamite this year. I did
great.
2 acting things.
That's cool.
And guess what? I played a podcaster and a comedian. So Laurie Kilmartin, I have range. A lot of people don't know that about me.
You really do.
They don't know about my acting range.
When I went to New York, when I went after I had done New Faces in Montreal.
Oh yeah,
and gotten.
Did you get to do New Face? When did you get to do it? In the 90s?
98. I did it in 98.
I did it in 2005 or 6.
It was dead in 98.
It was.
I think you know who killed it?
Who?
Chicken, who later killed himself.
Did Chicken kill himself?
Yeah, he hung himself. I never met him, but I
He was
did
an Atlanta
see,
comic, wasn't he? That fucked the stool.
yeah, I had sex with a stool. That was his closing piece.
Well, it's good writing. Thank God he. I'm glad he trademarked it, and maybe it died with him. Hey, too soon.
No, I think it's plenty of time. So I go to New York, and
I never met him, but it was crazy.
Yeah, I never met him either. But he was like the big story. Got a
Yeah.
$250,000 development deal, and it went nowhere.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he was untouchable, which
Yeah.
I'm sure led to him taking
being
his
all
own life.
depressed and.
But isn't it weird how it's like there's a lot less sympathy if someone's a hack and they kill themselves. Like if it's someone's an alternative comic, I'm like, that is a fucking tragedy. Or someone's really funny.
They were super unique.
Awful.
We're not
Yeah.
going to get that voice
But if-
again, you guys.
If they hump a chair, you're like,
You're like,
all
well, he's
right.
just who took his weeks. And that is not my joke. That is a stock joke, my friends.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
I
just
haven't heard it.
who took his. Whenever a comic dies, everybody is like, who took his weeks?
Wait, you know so many comics that have died that you actually have a stock joke about it?
It's not my
You are
stock
the
joke.
Grim
it's
Reaper.
There's a lot.
I don't
want to
know you.
Die. And well, there's that one, and then anyway. So there's a
Okay.
bunch of them. There's a bunch of stocks.
So I stayed with Ray James.
Okay.
Do you know Ray James? He's
No.
he's a comic out of San Francisco, and he's a writer now. And he was very influential when I started out for me because he was sort of like he was obsessed with Bill Hicks.
Okay.
But then Ray would take it in a different way where he would just want to walk the room, and I was like, oh my god! Like I love
That is kind of amazing.
I love watching somebody decide to walk a room.
I love hearing about someone deciding to
I know.
walk a room.
It's-
I can't
goes
stand
against
watching
every
it.
instinct.
Every instinct. I do it. What did he? Are there great stories about him walking the room? I have a
not-
Doug Stanhope one.
I'm sure it's nothing Stanhopian, but
But
it's,
it was just
just like,
every
it was
night.
like, oh my, because I was like such a good girl and such a, I live with my parents. So all my setups
Yeah.
were like, that my jokes sounded like that voice.
Wow. Wow, dumb
Like a
yourself
little-
down a little, Kim
like a
Martin.
little
That's
puppy.
not. You're so funny.
But no, I was just like naive,
Yeah,
and I
right.
hadn't lived.
You were
much.
super young.
Yes, and I was living in my head. You know,
Yeah.
I was addicted to fantasy.
So to
and I
watch
wasn't-
somebody actually
to
choose to
actually-
take their life in their own hands and then shit on it,
Yes.
is
Or
kind
just-
of powerful.
or just to intentionally cause discomfort, which was astonishing. And so, Ray went out to New York, and he was one of the early guys on the Daily Show with Craig
Oh, wow.
Kilborn,
Okay.
and Jim Earl and Steve Rosenfeld. And I stayed a little bit with Ray in this giant apartment he shared with this other woman in Williamsburg.
Oh, wow.
And it would now be I can't imagine
$1
how many millions
zillion
of dollars. Yeah.
yes.
And
it's owned by someone who has $1,000 pram. Anyway, go ahead.
And then I stayed on Jim and Steve had a very tiny 2-bedroom apartment on the Upper East Side. And I remember this because there was the Upper East Side rapist was on the loose, and his picture
Wow.
was all over the place. But in between their 2 bedrooms was a tiny kitchen and a floor, and I slept on the floor.
Okay.
And I just went around New York City. I was like, "Oh my god, I got to live here! This is it.
And
This
that's
is
how
what I
you
gotta
moved
do."
there?
Yeah, that's how I moved. That's what
I tried
made me
to
want to
move
move there.
in '89. I tried to move to Los Angeles, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a friend of mine who had just moved there, newlyweds, and they lived in Weehawken, right above the tunnel.
Who were comedians?
Yeah.
Who?
Not comedians. Sorry, just friends of mine
Okay.
from college. But they was 3 months married. They did not. They were so poor they didn't have a door on their wall on their room, and
They had a front door, but no doors inside.
Right. It was a 1-bedroom, and it was a railroad kind of situation.
yeah.
And I slept on their couch, but they didn't have a door on their room, and so I would have to go take walks while they did it, because they were newly married and they had gone to separate
Sure.
colleges, and everyone
Sure.
was 12. So, but then. So they let me live with them, and then I got a day job in New York in 1989.
In New York?
In New York, and I tried to do stand up in New York in '89, and it was there was no barking. It was pre-barking.
Do you ever wish you'd stayed there?
Nope, not ever. Because what I did was I was like, I had the worst job in the world at Chubb Life with the worst name in the
that's
world.
right.
That's right. It was the insurance company.
Right.
But then I bailed. I told Chubb Life that my mom had died of cancer.
Right. You said that on the podcast already.
Oh, that's right.
That's
I
why
think-
I'm
you know what? It was an
not
early one that's
reacting.
in the vault.
What? No. We
Oh,
did
do you think
that.
it's an
yeah.
aired one?
Yeah, because I said something about 9/11.
Guy
And,
Branham emailed me about that. Let me know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but the thing is now when I go, for years when I go, I would stay with my friend on the Upper West Side who had a beautiful 1-bedroom apartment, and I could stay. She had a fold-out couch, and it was huge, a huge 1-bedroom apartment on the Upper West Side. And now she has a boyfriend who I can't stay with her anymore, so it always costs me money now.
The boyfriend's always on the couch.
The boyfriend is on the couch.
They're on the rocks.
Right, they're
they
on the
can't
rocks.
break up because they live in New York City.
And they have 2 dogs and a cat.
Yeah. Well,
It's a fascinating story. I won't tell it again. I'm so sorry.
no, two times hearing about your insurance job is
It's plenty.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't begrudge you that. Are you kidding? Pardo would eviscerate me. He'd be like, "Are you still talking? What's going on?" So, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing so many of these in a row right now. I feel like we might end up doing some history about ourselves because I don't know there aren't like crazy news events that have happened in the last 12 hours.
In the last 12 hours, I've done 2 sets. How many sets have you done?
I did one at I went to Venice. There was
that's right.
a show at some place called the Electric Lodge. I'd never been to. They have a theater in the back, and the audience was about 20 beautiful people.
Oh, that's
So
great.
It's right off of Abbot Kinney. Well, you know what? I started because one of them I did a joke, and then they're full out models in the front row, dressed as models.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
wearing like boots with 5-inch heels, and they were like intricate boots with like crazy
And tricked
ribbing
out
and stuff like that.
crazy?
Yeah. So I did a joke, and somebody kind of said it out loud to herself, like she repeated the whole punchline, and I go, you know what, you guys are really beautiful, and you don't have to get all the jokes, and it's okay. And if you want me to explain it to you, I will, because that's not your job. Like, I'm doing my job. My job is to be funny, and your job is to be beautiful.
And how did that go over pretty well?
Yes, it did.
Oh, good. Of course. Because they all know that they're really, really
Why would
beautiful.
they get mad? Why would you ever get mad when you're that attractive? Like, go ahead, make fun of me, fat old lady. Go ahead. Like, they win whatever competition I went in, or they win. So it was fun, and I brought my son with me.
Oh, good. Because you had
I
him.
met him here.
Yeah.
When his dad dropped him off, and he hung out in the back and played a computer game while I was on stage.
And then did you just do your set and get?
Yeah, I did my set.
Did you get to see anybody else or not really?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah. So I got on Uncab, and right before the show starts, 17, very young, somewhere between 20 and 23.
Yeah.
Possibly 20 and 21. Like super tight age group. And they belong to a group called California Consciousness. And there's 17 of them, and they had just had dinner at First and Hope,
I can
which
tell
is
by
called
your
something else.
tone of voice you don't approve.
Well, they were out of their damn minds, first of all, and they were fucking chatty magoos.
But
they were chatty fucking magoos
Right.
during the show.
That's
constantly, like Bethel Pettis was up, and they started talking to her, and that was fine because she was talking to them, and they were essentially having a who knows more about yoga and meditation off, and Bethel Pettis won because she would, and so because she is our age and knows more about meditation than a 12-year-old. So, and then Aaron Foley goes up, trying to do her act, and the conscious kids are talking to her.
Well, they're being in the present moment.
They are
and
very
the present
much.
moment is telling them to talk.
And what did Aaron
You,
said?
you
Aaron
guys
said
are doing your
something.
pre-planned life. Well, these guys were living in it.
Aaron was talking about. She said, when you said consciousness, I was thinking, and because Beth had said something about the definition of consciousness, and Aaron goes, being alert. Isn't it just being awake? Isn't that? And so they just started interjecting, and then Beth, she'll talk from the back.
Yeah.
And Aaron was like, "Oh, I'm not going to get any punchlines out here," and but she did. She did very well. And then Guy Branum got up, and it was very funny, and it was yeah. So I got to watch most of the show. I didn't stay for the band because I wanted to get out.
Of course.
It's hard to stay. For
Sorry,
the
band.
I want to stay for the band, but it's hard to. You don't
want to stay.
It's not just me. It's not just me.
You wish you wanted to stay for the
Yes,
band.
I wish I were willing to stay for the band.
I wish I wanted to participate in so many other parts of life, but I really don't care. I just want to go
I don't
home.
mind the house band. I had already seen some music. The
Yeah.
house band played. There was a drum. There was a keyboard.
Oh, that's right,
It had
yeah.
already happened. So it was enough music for me. I had to go sit in my car and listen to Hamilton. It was fun.
I got a text, and I don't know. You said Hamilton, and I immediately stopped thinking.
That's it. You got to keep going.
I'm like, I got to change the topic.
Here's what you don't.
Take
Here's
Hamilton.
I got a Hamilton and Hedwig on shuffle on my iPod in my car.
I never want to drive with you.
I wouldn't have it on in the car.
I don't even want to be in the car with your shuffle.
Do you want to see my phone?
No.
Or you'll never want to see my phone?
I don't.
Because you'll say to yourself, oh my God, that's what's on that phone.
Yeah.
Hamilton and Hedwig.
Keep it away from me. Okay.
Tell
Two
me your
H's.
story. Yes.
Oh, so I got it. This has happened numerous times where I get a text from somebody I don't know, but they're offering me a spot.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I say yes to the spot. And then hopefully I find out through a series of Facebook posts or tweets who is actually running the show.
I would like to applaud that and then realize that it's too loud for a podcast. But whatever. That is exactly.
Yeah.
But what I always do
It's
is I
too
just
late
go,
for me to ask because I've had a couple conversations with this person without knowing who they are.
You're like, yes, I want to go up.
Yeah.
I don't have enough information.
Yeah.
What I always do is I do two things. I say, you got to email me so that I can check my book.
Yes. Oh, that's
And then I
smart.
give them my email address.
And then
I also say, and new phone, who is this?
No, you can't do that. Everyone's onto that.
It is a new phone, and I don't know who you are.
No one will believe you. They'll think you're being an asshole. You can't.
I am kind of an asshole, but I'm not being an asshole.
I
in
think
this
we're trying
case.
to hide it.
Right. I spend a good portion of my time
Trying to hide that you're an asshole.
Yes, trying to hide
Really,
the
it
jackassery.
does take a lot of energy.
It's a fair amount of energy to show that I just get impatient. But it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with them. I mean, it is a new phone. I don't know who you are, and but I must have
I'm
given
telling
you my
no
phone
one believes
number.
you.
People should believe me. I don't know. I have a phone that has hundreds of phone numbers in it, and some that doesn't.
An admitted asshole, and now you're asking us to think you're not doing that asshole thing on purpose.
Right. And then I just did Kyle's open mic here at
cool.
Nerd Melt before the show because
Yeah.
I got here half an hour early.
So how did the comedians feel about your jokes?
Nothing. Dead silence. A lot of dead stares thinking, is she doing 3 minutes? I could have done 3 minutes. Why did she get to
No,
do 3
what they're saying is this woman who gets spots every single night of the week actually at our open mic right
Yes,
now?
that's
taking
the
up
other thing.
3
That
minutes
is-
of time.
Exactly. And now I'm
Yeah.
forced to sit through her, and I've already politely sat through the other 17 people.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. And I knew going up that it wasn't going to, but I had to say it out loud.
You stole 3 minutes from someone who drove here from Oklahoma.
Right.
How do you feel about yourself?
I feel pretty good about myself because I had to say my jokes out loud. and I deserve... Anyway.
I know
so-
you do. You got to take your time when you got to do
Yeah.
it. I get it.
So, speaking of Oklahoma...
Yes.
We could do our comic plug of the plug of the week.
A
She's
comic we
Armenian,
love.
who I know her from Oklahoma. I got to meet her in Oklahoma like 3 years ago, and her name is Leah Kayajanian. She is the greatest Armenian name.
I
in the
call her
world.
Leah K.
Leah K. Do you call it? How would you pronounce her last name? Kayajanian. There we go.
She's
Because-
very funny.
She's really funny, Leah
Yeah.
Kayajanian. And what I would recommend
Really good
is
joke writer.
Yes, and it's super fun.
And
But
I think she won a roast battle, right?
She won the tournament of champions.
Tournament of
Oh, she was the
Champions.
Tournament of
she's
Champions
She's
over
a
at the-
motherfucker, is what she is.
yeah, so she's a power
ruthless.
to
She's
be.
not afraid to go after your hairline, your
She
skin.
can bring it.
Yeah.
And her website is leahkajanian.com. And her bio is comedian, writer, your mom, which made me laugh against my
I
very
wish.
will. Yeah. Oh, my God. Speaking of which, how what happened in the last 12 hours with your mom? Anything exciting now that she lives with you?
Well, we had this. We had a discussion. Jackie, I need your full attention.
I was looking at Leah's website.
Hi, I'm right here. You are a fucking asshole.
You
I
want
am right
California
here.
consciousness from
And
me?
you're
Is that
looking
what
at
you
it,
want?
a different LK's website. How dare you?
It's an outrage. I'm going to storm out of here right now.
You are. Well, so we had a blow up over the weekend.
Sure.
My mom and I.
Why not?
And then I said, I was like, I react like a 14-year-old. Like
because you turn back into the child.
Yes, if you were to look at our interactions without
Who's the hero?
context, you'd be like, that woman is a bitch about me.
Okay,
to that
you are
old
not
lady.
the hero of that story. Fair
No,
enough.
not at all. So I'm like, all right, I got it. So I went in and I talked to her and I said, I'm a very solitary person and I'm used to having the weekends to myself to recharge. And you're always here, and you're always sitting in my chair, and you're always watching animal shows. Like I came home 3 different times on Saturday, and there were different animals. There's crocodiles when I come home one time, and then there's wildebeest. It's like I'm fucking tired. And yet the neighbor's cat
African-based.
walks in the house, and she's like, "Get it out!" Like.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Animals should only be on television.
Two-dimensional animals only, please.
Yeah. So I told her I need a zone, a privacy. And,
Oh, right.
And you can't always be sitting in my beloved chair when I come home. I need to sit on my chair sometimes.
Okay.
And she kind of understood that.
Oh, good.
It was the first time I'd explained my feelings to my mom instead of just being angry with her, which
at
was
the
almost like a
growth.
breakthrough.
This is amazing. You guys are going to start a podcast.
No,
You and your mom are
but
just
here's
gonna- yeah.
but it's like I get home. Here's what I like. My mom, my son wants me to look at a picture he drew,
Yeah.
right? And my mom wants to tell me about a spot she got out someplace. Like it's clothing spot, and she'll tell me what
not
she
a stand-up
used.
spot. I was like, is your mom doing stand-up? What the hell happened?
No, we're both obsessed with spots.
Okay.
But hers
any sort of
are
stains,
any
any
kind
sort
of
of-
stain,
okay, any sort of
mark.
blemish?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And is she good getting
She's-
rid of them?
She's a fucking ninja, and she does my laundry. Like, there's so many offsets that are making this work for me.
Okay.
Like I haven't
There you go.
done laundry in a week and a half.
That's kind of sweet.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And my shit is folded.
Oh
you
my
know?
God.
And I say, you don't put it in the drawers. I'll put my things in my drawers. There's things
Yeah.
in my drawers I don't want you to find.
Yeah, you don't need to see that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to see your rosary. That's what the kids call anal beads, you guys. I'm here all
masturbate
week.
with a crucifix. But
The one of the Armenian ones that has a cool knobby stuff on the end. Hey, I'm here all week, ladies and germs. Oh my God, it's been a long day, you guys. I went and saw Legos today. I really interrupt. I'm so sorry to take it back.
no, please. That's an important statement.
I went and saw Legos in the middle of a botanical garden south of the airport. There's a botanical garden that has Lego hummingbirds. Your mom would love them because they're inanimate. And
I want to be in a corner right now, under covers.
Wait, you should be in your chair. Okay, is it a nice chair?
It's fucking amazing.
Are you going to have to get a second chair so that she has somewhere to sit?
No, she just kind of knows to stay in her room on Sundays.
Okay.
I fucking tricked out her room. I'm like, why are you out here? I put your room's got a TV in it, and
Does it have its own bathroom? And
No, there's.
But that's-
Oh no, we share one bathroom. It's three
okay.
asses sharing one bathroom,
Right.
and one of the asses has chronic diarrhea. And
Is
she
it not
always
yours?
No, she's always trying to tinker with her pills. So she tries to go off the diarrhea meds, and it doesn't work. Those diarrhea meds really do the job.
You know what? I've always enjoyed people tinkering with the meds that the government has given them, and that's what I think of as doctors.
Yeah, your doctor. Just do what your doctor told you.
Just do what your doctors. But the worst is people who have like antidepressant meds.
Yeah.
And anti-anxiety meds
Right.
going, you know what? I've been feeling really good. I'm only going to take a half a thing. And
That's
I'm like,
got to be tempting though, because when you do, you must start feeling better, and then you're like, I don't need this shit, right?
Well, that's exactly what it is. And you're like, there's a reason you're feeling good. You're feeling good because of the meds. And they're like, yeah, but I want to get a hard on, or I want to feel joy again, and or whatever,
Right.
whatever the thing that the side effect that you're like, I want to,
Yeah.
but in no other drugs. I mean, this is the first I've heard this diarrhea business. It's the first time I've heard other people going, I'm only going to use half the antibiotics that were given to me.
She might be
I
trying
mean,
to save money or something like that, but it's.
Well, that's nice of her. Does she cook
I'm like,
too,
I'll
or-
chip in.
Does she cook?
She does cook.
That's been pretty nice too, I bet.
Yeah,
Right? Has she been making the foods of your childhood?
meatloaf.
Did she make a decent meatloaf?
She didn't make a meatloaf.
Oh, she never made a meatloaf?
No, oh, she made a long time ago. But she's been kind of cooking. She's getting her bearings. You know.
Yeah, it's only been like a week.
It's been
right?
like a week and a half,
half.
yeah.
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 So you got to give her a minute.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So I'm going to Canada for 2 weeks.
Right.
And I made a decision not to come back between the two gigs.
Right.
So I'm going to go to Toronto for 3 or 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's 4 days where there's nothing.
Right.
So we were talking about maybe me going to New York.
Right.
Well, the guy in Toronto he's like, I think I got you a gig right outside of Niagara Falls, a one-nighter.
Oh, that's good.
And I might have another one in Buffalo. And then I'm gonna talk to maybe them doing an off night, like maybe the Monday and the Tuesday in
that's
Buffalo.
great.
And I was like, yeah. And he said, we can at least cover your hotel. And I was like, Yeah, and I'd get to do stand-up. Because I assume that the open mics in Toronto are on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Because that's when they are in every other city in the
Sure.
world. So so at least I'll get to do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, can I offer this? That I've done
Yeah.
this sometimes. Is if you have a couple days off, you just go someplace cool and chill out. You know, like get an Airbnb.
Oh, wow.
In some wild place
In the
and
middle of
just
nowhere?
Relax. Yeah. 'Cause
Come on.
Yeah.
Weird.
And just write or read.
I do have like...
Totally detox in an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast or something like that.
Okay. Maybe.
Get away from comedy. Get away from everything.
No, I've been away from
Get away from my mother.
It's been-
I'm sorry, I'm projecting. I'm projecting a lot onto you.
3 points, Laurie Kilmartin. Well played. So, yeah, I have already gotten at least one email from a guy who's like, I'm really into board games. Can I do a dork for us while you're there? And I've had another
Is that
one.
good news?
It's okay. I could bring my portable kit,
Right.
and knock out a couple of dork for us. I had another guy who emailed me and said, "So do you play? I heard that you play Magic the Gathering. Well, you're opening for Maria in Phoenix, and in
You play
Irvine.
Magic what?
The Gathering. It's a card game. It's sort of like
okay,
Pokemon
okay.
or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay.
So it's like a board game but with cards.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a card game.
Yeah.
And so I do play Magic the Gathering, but I don't play it well. And anyone who is
You
reaching
know
out
what?
to play,
I'm glad you don't play it well because you're a grown up.
are you want to talk about grown up things? What do you read? What are you reading these days? You reading anything good? You learning anything?
I'm reading novels.
Or
I've
you
been-
fiction?
Yes.
You're doing all right. What are you reading?
I am reading a fourth book this Irish novelist has written. His name is Sebastian Barry. And they're all of them are set. They kind of start during the Ireland Civil War in the 1920s.
Oh, wow.
After Michael Collins signed a peace treaty with England, and they separated Northern Ireland from Southern Ireland. There was a lot of people in Ireland didn't want the separation. They didn't agree with the treaty. And so
Okay.
there was a civil war between pro-treaty and anti-treaty.
Just in Northern Ireland?
Just in Southern Ireland.
Just in Southern
And so it's
Ireland.
like Catholics killing Catholics. It's civil war.
Catholic on Catholic crime?
Yeah, it's beyond Catholic and Protestant.
Wow.
It's like Collins was a traitor, and the other leader, Eamon de Valera, who stayed back, he may have set him up and stuff. But so all these novels are kind of set in this time, and
Right.
I've become super interested in Ireland, having
Yeah.
gone there and stuff. So that's what I'm reading. I recommend them all.
And there's 4 of them. Are they in a series or are they all separate?
They're separate. Some of them have the same family members.
Okay.
And so there's one book called Annie Dunn. That was the first one I read, and it was like astonishing. This guy writes prose like it's poetry. Every sentence you kind of like, you can't just sprint through it. You kind of go, fuck.
Is it dense?
It's not dense. It's just perfect.
Okay.
And you almost just want to appreciate
How it's well
how
crafted.
minimalist it is, and
Yeah.
how much emotion he says with 6 words. You know,
Right.
it's pretty amazing. And so the whole book is about this woman named Annie Dunn, and then there's another book about her brother where he briefly mentions her, and I'm like, that's fucking Annie. I know her. You know,
Yeah.
it's great.
That
Yeah.
is that. I would love incredibly well written books. They're sort of sometimes if they're a little too well written, I like to listen to them on Audible
I should do that. I should listen
because
to these ones.
it's just
read.
the sing song comes through. You can.
Yeah.
It's like any spoken word thing. Then
Yeah.
where someone is reading it to you and you can hear. You can immerse yourself in it. Someone recommended. You remember last episode? I was talking about Steve Martin, then listening to 3 albums.
Yeah.
And liking the albums, but
Yeah.
not being blown away, not
Right.
thinking to myself, "Oh, comedy! It's
Yeah.
just comedy." Somebody recommended that I just that I listen to his books, that he reads his own books,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I bet you his books are amazing when
Yeah.
he reads them because they're a lot smarter than his stand-up. His stand-up is silly, good times, and it's not dumb by
He's
any.
playing to the back of the room. In the back of the room, it's like a coliseum. You know, yeah.
Right. The room is too big.
Yeah.
and so I think that's why I might get a new Audible book. I'm in the middle of 1776 by David McCullough, which
Oh,
is
cool.
it's about the year 1776. It isn't about the entire Revolutionary War. I thought it was going to be, but
It's
it is
all the
not.
shit that went down in '76.
Everything that went down in 76, man, it was crazyville.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's weird, but it spun off of You know, the thing we're not talking about. Hamilton.
Oh.
Anyway, so I'll be over here.
Christ, you fucking bitch.
I will just sneak in
snuck
Hamilton
it
time.
in.
I will sneak it in.
That's you. You didn't even give a shit what I read. You're like, I can't wait to get to my reference. Oh, look at her talk about her dumb Irish novelist. Like it's a real question.
I was excited about it. Did you ever read James Joyce?
I tried, and I'm trying to read The Dubliners.
Ugh,
I have
Christ.
a book with really tiny font.
Yeah.
That I gotta read. I got to.
Yeah. It's part of it's your people. You got to get to it.
I know.
You got to get on it.
I know.
But it's okay. I read it.
It's all part of this dream life I have where I don't have a child and I don't have any obligations. and
you just do stand up and then you get to read fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think that's what my life will be like in 10 years.
That's what your life should
stand
be
up
like.
and fiction.
Just Luxembourg, man. Just you in Luxembourg looking at architecture
Me in a
and
castle.
reading. Sure. Why not?
Got
Get a
some
chalet.
castle gigs later that night.
Castle gigs. I'm working the kitchen. And I do read a fair amount on the road. It's kind of nice. I used to watch more shitty television in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But now I just bring novels and I just end up reading.
Yeah, and there's no point in watching shitty television because there's so much great television.
There's so much great television.
You can't really hate watch anymore. That joy, it's been taken away from us.
And in hotel rooms, the saddest part is that you can't control, there's no DVR. You can't say, oh, I've always wanted to watch this. And I tried to take Google Chrome. I tried to take Chromecast with me. And you can't install Chromecast on hotel.
What about your laptop?
I have an
laptop?
iPad and I have a tiny laptop. I don't like to watch it on the laptop, but I could do it. I have all the things. So I could watch other things, but I haven't.
Do you ever, this is a topic change.
Please.
Do you ever find out you have a gig on Twitter that night that you had no idea?
Yeah.
Not
in a while, but did you get this?
Yeah. Sometimes I fuck up my calendar or I forget to log one in. And I'm like,
all of a sudden you're announced.
No, but, Mom, do you have a show tonight? No, honey, I'm going to be home. Yay. Cut to...
Honey, I gotta...
No, not even saying anything. I just don't show up that night.
Oh, shit.
And my beloved babysitter puts him to bed. And I disappoint my son. No, my first date with my now ex-boyfriend, which I'm sure this contributed to, because we had a date on Friday night, and then Friday afternoon, I got a tweet promoting the gig, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Should I cancel the date? That was my only...
That's your go-to.
Yeah, not the gig. No fucking way. But we had dinner and then he went to a show, which again, you never expose a guy to your act.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Damn soon.
Big mistake.
I know comics who take like their Tinder dates or their Match.com dates. First greeting. First time.
Tinder is so casual, though. I think that's almost okay with Tinder.
Oh, yeah?
But if you're going for like a relationship.
Right. I suppose if it's just a hookup, you can say, well, let's meet over here, watch a couple of comics, and then go do it.
I'll do my chunk on oral, and you can hear how I like it. Like, that's handy.
That is. It's informative. And but it is weird that like you talk to for these guy comics to tell me that they're like, so I met her on Match, and so we're meeting for the first time. I've been talking to her for a couple of months or a couple of weeks or I don't know how long it takes to talk to somebody anymore on the internet. And then all of a sudden,
2 messages back and forth.
2 messages back and forth, an email, and then you talk on the phone.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so we're going to go to a comedy show tonight. And I was like, that's going to be your first meet and greet, is her seeing guys working their jerky whatever.
Dude,
everybody's working on their
about male
jokes.
comics and women. It's a totally different combo than female comics and men. It's not the same, remotely the same.
Because they can just introduce anybody to anything in the world,
because of the way men and women are. Because of the way men are. Because if I bring a guy to a date, a show, they're like, oh my God. And, I bring all my history on stage. It doesn't occur to me what I'm talking about, because I'm like, oh, that's
the chunk I got to work on.
That's chunk 16A. Like, I forget that it's about, my
Anything.
boyfriend's big dick or whatever.
It could be
you're
right.
like, only when I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, this might not be one for a first date to hear. But
This is about my antisocial behavior forever. Oh, they don't want to
Yeah.
hear this.
yeah. So,
But guys don't care? Is what you're saying?
no, I'm saying guys do care and they're horrified in the audience.
Right, but guys who bring their women.
Male comics that bring women.
male comics who bring
I
into
think
the
women are a
show.
lot more forgiving of stuff, and I think
They're like,
women are more
"Oh,
like
he's
he's an
vulnerable."
artist. He's a yes, yeah. Guys don't let. Oh, she's an artist. Yeah, you never hear a guy say that excitedly.
You know what's weird is Andy and I had been. You're
they wanna
dating
hear-
the wrong men.
Oh, she's a homemaker. Oh, she can cook. That's what they say with that voice. They never go, oh,
Wow.
she's a comedian.
God.
Like I
Well-
almost shouldn't say anything for about 6 weeks until I really hook them with my sparkling personality.
Did you ever hear Maria talk about when she was in the Huskow? She went to the mental.
Yeah.
She went to the mental joint, and she was getting one of her check-ins with the doc, with one of the psychiatrists, and he's on his iPad, and she thinks he's just taking notes about her psych problems because she's
Yeah.
telling him the tale, and all of a sudden she hears her own voice from the iPad. He's looked her up and is
Oh,
playing
my
one
God.
of her videos, and she's like, What are you doing? He said, oh, you said you were a comedian, so I thought I'd look you up. And she's
Wow.
like, first of all, she's sobbing. She wants to kill herself. She's in the fucking Huskow, and this guy just looked her up on her check-in. And she's like, could you turn that off?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, well, I thought maybe you were lying or something. Maybe you were delusional. And she tells us as a joke, because she's like, I don't think it's delusional in Los Angeles to claim to be a stand-up comic. It's not like I said I was Richard Pryor.
Also, I don't want to hear my act when I'm in a good mood.
Right,
But if
please
I'm
don't
being
play my
checked
act at
into a
me.
hospital for depression. That's the last thing I want to hear is my
Could
fucking
you run
act.
my I was home all last
And
summer.
then it's like, wait, what set are you seeing? Oh, that's not a good one. Scroll down. Scroll down. Look at my Conan. Look at my Conan. Don't watch my Kimmel.
yeah, you don't want to see that. It's last summer I was home. I was in LA for so long, and all I did was write, and it was great. And all I did was work on new stuff. And then I went on the road in September, and I had forgotten my act. I had to listen to my own albums.
I've done that too.
It was exhausting.
It's so depressing.
You're just like, oh, I get it. I
One
see what
time,
I'm doing here.
I was working at, I was headlining, and I had moved to New York, and so I was doing 12-minute sets max constantly.
Everywhere, yeah.
But I had been on the road for so long that I'm like, of course I have this muscle.
Sure.
So I'm headlining in Akron, and the feature act is Kathleen Dunbar. Do you know her?
Nope, not offhand. I've
Really
met
funny,
her, but yeah.
really strong, and she lives in Vegas now. And the MC, I won't say her name.
Because she wasn't great.
Not only was she wasn't great, but she booked one-nighters around, and we ended up. That was one of the few falling outs I've had with somebody.
Oh, right.
Because I think she said cunt in the MC spot. She opened saying cunt.
Yeah, you gotta know what's following, folks.
Yeah, and it was real hacky shit and
Yeah.
cunt.
It wasn't a great cunt joke.
Right.
Oh,
No,
that's
no.
unfortunate.
And then Kathleen went up and killed.
Right.
Kathleen, very funny. And then I was like, I was on stage not knowing the end of a joke I was telling and hoping my mouth just made the right sounds.
I have been there.
And I think it was it was like a B- set. Now and then after that I was like I went home and I went back to the hotel and I stood not the hotel. What the fuck am I thinking? It's hilarities. I went to the back of the
the
comedy
condo.
club where you stay in the back of the. Clarity's was this club. It burned down.
Thank God. It sounds horrible.
You know what? The list of potential suspects is every single comedian in America.
Who was ever forced to live in the back of the club?
The back of the club, which I'm sure was like a storage area or something,
Yeah.
is where they threw some beds
Like
and
a
put the
cut?
comedians.
All of them?
Yes. Yes. Once I stayed with Lawrence Taylor and his wife,
And his
Lawrence
wife.
Thomas and his wife,
Oh my God.
and their dog, and I don't
the
mind
dog
the
is
dog.
perfect. The
I don't
dog
mind the
actually
dog.
makes it. The dog
Okay.
actually helps the whole situation.
So-
because that's a buffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
like inviting your friend over to Thanksgiving. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a good dog, Zoe, the dog's name.
The fact you remember the dog's name, but you forgot the guy's name.
Lawrence Thomas.
Until you said it the second
I think
time.
I said
Yeah.
Taylor. I think
Yeah,
I
at
named
first.
a football player instead of comedian.
Wow, so it's just, and it was at one room? one big room, or was it several storage
they had
rooms?
made cinder block walls so that were several, but the whole thing was a horrible fire trap and
just a death trap waiting to happen.
Yes, yeah. So anyway, that was the club we were staying at, or I was staying at, and it used to be a strip club. So the stage, it was like a long strip club sort of stage that was extended
the
out.
long room. The stage came out into the
and
middle.
so that's where the comic was, and there were like people kind of behind you, and
Boo.
it was all boo all around.
Yeah.
But then I was weak, kind of weak on stage, and that was my fault. Like
Right, 'cause
everything
you
else
weren't
complained.
prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had cockily thought, fuck, and I know this shit. I don't need to go over it.
Right.
And
But
did.
I prefer arrogant to smug. I will always prefer arrogant to smug.
Thank you.
Like,
Well, then you prefer me to everybody.
any number of comics who are just like, no, I can do this, and then they're like, and I get carried off stage every night, and you're like, oh, Jesus H.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, wow, that sounds like a disaster. Have you been to a lot of strip clubs? Have you ever been to? Bless
I've
you.
been to a few.
Yeah, because
Yes.
you end up hanging out with comics, and comics are like, we're going to the strip club. Do you want to come? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And don't you want to go out to breakfast? No, you don't. Later. Okay. So there was
breakfast with the strippers?
no. Well, like if you end up partying with the other comics and the
Yeah.
staff until like 4,
Yeah.
and then you go to a 24-hour place to have breakfast, don't you?
I never did a party. No.
Oh, okay.
I never did that.
I used to never not drink, and
Yeah.
then I had to stop drinking because I never not drank. And so I did more of that. But
Mm-hmm.
there was a club in Minneapolis. It was called Jokeses with a lot of X's.
Oh my god.
And it was
Still not as bad as Sir Laughs a Lot.
yuck. Oh, the Comedy Castle. Sir Laughs a Lot. That was in Milwaukee, wasn't it?
I don't know.
And whatever.
I remember
But-
seeing it in that comedy guide that somebody put out in the
remember
late
that comedy.
early 90s.
Yeah.
And where you sent VHS tapes, everyone listed,
Yep.
that was a booker.
That was
Yeah.
it. And he had stacks and stacks of VHS tapes, and yeah. Anyway, so but it was a comedy club above a fancy strip club.
Yeah.
It had one of those. There was so it was a fancy. It was chandeliers and all this stuff. And there was a dancer on the big
So
stage.
it was a strip club, or was it an Armenian single family home?
because of the chandelier.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the decorations of a new immigrant. Let me just
There
say
really
that.
isn't. I took out
Especially
the
when you-
Russian guy. There was really nothing.
When they've stolen enough money to really make it right on their way out of town. I did when I did Iraq.
Yeah.
We stayed in Saddam Hussein's guest house.
I've stayed in Saddam Hussein's places too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
And it was both amazing real mosaics and
Yeah.
beautiful wainscoting and all these great things, and then plastic chandeliers and bullshit. It was like
Marble and marble.
It was
Lots
marble.
of marble.
There was marble and then fake gold fittings. So it was like they ran out of. It would be like if you had given my grandmother $1 billion and she was like, "Let's make it nice."
Well,
No.
it was started by Saddam and finished by Uday, and that's where they went to fake gold.
Yes, it was grim. But this place, it was. I had only been to like. It was called. It was Buns and Bow Ties was the name of the male one.
Right.
And then across from it was like corsets and snatch.
Cons?
I have no
Oh,
idea
okay.
what the fuck it was called. I have no idea. But it's the girl one is still there, and they're both
Right.
dirt baggy. Woo! And but the other one was fancy, and Jokeses was upstairs from this, and that was my first strip club I had ever been to before, and it was fancy because it had that long walkway, and at the end of it there was a cage, and there was a way to.
Oh, is that's why it's fancy?
It was there was a cage where you could like kind of dance in the if you were a dancer,
Right.
But they had comedy there.
In the cage.
In the cage, like next to the cage.
Okay.
They didn't break down the
That would
fucking
be
cage.
amazing to have comedy in a strip club cage.
It would have been. It would be very Blues Brothers, and then people could whip beers at you, and you wouldn't get any glass.
But what if you would, and then you could also get feedback from Tommy afterwards. I really liked your cage work.
oh my god, you know what we just saw there is
What?
how you used to wrap it in with a lot of callbacks.
Oh, yeah.
you just load up all the callbacks and
I fucking love a call. It's a free laugh.
It is a
Why
free
would you
laugh.
turn down a free laugh?
Why would you leave money on the table, Laurie? Come on. Why would you
Exactly.
do that? That's what my dad would tell you. And so I'll tell you why. Because it's over. The callback is over.
I might bring it back, and I might call it back 10 episodes from now.
All right, you do it.
I think we have devoted listeners. I'll know.
We do already have devoted listeners. It's
Were you on a story that was leading someplace?
Nope. It was just about strip clubs. Oh, probably like 9 stories ago. It was hanging out with so many guy comics and being dragged to like strip clubs and being forced to watch lesbian porn.
Yeah.
Just because everyone's sitting around there like, Keisha's here. She's the only woman we're going to put in lesbian porn. I'm like, I'm exhausted.
I used to do a joke where I'd say, you start acting like, you try to be one of the boys, man.
Yeah.
And I would go to strip clubs, and I was getting a lap dance, and then next thing you know, we're raping this girl. And
see, that's just good rape comedy right there. That's good stuff. That's funny.
It either got a good laugh, or it got no laugh, and then I had to dig my way out of it. So then I was like, I just let it go. There's some jokes where you're like, that was a fun one to perform for 3 months. I gave it every fucking possible opportunity.
Gotta let it go.
Yeah, and then to make it amenable to an audience, you have to lighten it up so much that it's not fun.
Right. Yeah. If you got to massage it into something acceptable, it's brutal.
Yeah.
What I don't like sometimes about doing the road a lot is you end up hanging out with so many guys and so many different towns. If I do the road too much, I get hard. And I get like kind of stevedore-ish, I get like kind of like fucking A.
Whoa, let me look that one up first.
Well, I get super butch, and I just sort of like fuck you, and I'm just like, nobody wants.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hang out with that woman.
Yeah.
I don't want to hang out with that woman. I would like, and when I spend a lot of time in Los Angeles or New York or if I, I don't know, there was, 15 years ago, I would spend 6 weeks in Minneapolis and then just do one-nighters out of it and do a lot of sort of Acme open mics and hang out with those guys. I get a little softer and my writing changes and I write more interesting material. If I'm on the road a lot, I tend to write more bullety kind of, no, my vagina's a Chinese finger trap,
Yeah,
or some
right,
fucking
right,
thing.
right.
It's like nobody wants to, and those aren't bad jokes. They're just. I like a nicer,
little more
me.
nuance.
Yeah, I want more in my tool bag than just I can shut up a crowd in Nebraska. I want more in my tool bag than I can.
What if that's your epitaph? What's
on my headstone?
Shut up crowds in Nebraska.
She can
Jackie
hold the
Cation.
attention of a sports bar in Boise. And I was like, that isn't my dream gig. That isn't, I don't know. I don't really have a dream gig.
It is, but it's nice to know you can do it if you have to.
It's true.
Like that's
It's a
one
skill.
thing I didn't like about the alt scene was that it seemed like the audience was cherry picked and it was all precious flowers entertaining each other,
Right.
And I respected but they also give themselves a lot of room to experiment on stage in a
Yes.
way that you can't do when you're at Chilkoot Charlie's in Alaska. or
Right,
something,
and you're and you got a
Yeah.
rapid fire to keep their attention, and it was nurturing and good. But there were Goonies in that alt scene initially, anyway, who were just like, if anyone got up with a real joke, they would judge,
Right.
And it wasn't cool,
Yeah.
because you know what, real jokes are real jokes, and they're it doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah, it's weird how there's always this desire to not be a comic or not be like within comedy, like to get away from comedy.
right?
You
Remember
know?
when you couldn't call it an art? Do you remember that
I
back in the
never-
early 90s?
Well,
You couldn't call it. I remember.
I remember not thinking it was like art seemed like. Plus, it was a word that Madonna used to describe herself. Remember, she called herself
No.
an artist, and you're like, wait a minute.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and
You
so I
ripped
just
up-
sort of stayed away from that word because unless you were an actual drawer, painter, I was
Yes.
like, that's an artist. That's a
Well, and it was this thing. I remember because it was. Oh, that guy thinks he's an artist.
about
Like Andy Kaufman
Yeah.
or any of these guys who were trying to do something else.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like the merch conversation we had. I remember just embracing all of it and going, yeah, there's a skill set to it, and some of it is done in a beautiful way that makes it art.
Yeah.
When you watch someone write it, when I watch Maria Bamford write a new joke,
Yeah.
You're watching a painter.
Yes,
you're watching
totally.
somebody create something out of nothing.
Yep.
So that is art, and whether. But let me backtrack and ask you: are there any dream gigs? You got any dream road gigs?
that I want to do one day.
Besides Luxembourg and Paris.
I want to open for Russell Peters in Dubai.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Just based on Greg Rogel's Facebook post, I'm like, oh, that is a sweet gig. That looks awesome.
What? I don't know Greg either.
He's a really funny New York comic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so
what was the Dubai gig?
All I saw was luxury, nonstop, and giant crowds. And I'm like, that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's probably a business class flight.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be sweet. You know how long it takes you to get used to the Ritz? Just once. Just once, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I deserve this. I deserve this. This is important to me.
I know.
And,
when we went to Qatar, we flew business class on Emirates, and it's astonishing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with my life, like my life, but I'm like, oh, this is like real. This is wealth. It's different
Right.
from doing okay.
Right,
And
right. When you're doing fine.
it's amazing.
Because, you're doing fine. I'm
Yeah.
doing fine. It's not, but there's a 1% thing that comes in where you actually
Yeah.
can almost see it. Like
Yeah.
when I went to Iraq and I saw his stuff, the Hussein's, Saddam Hussein's stuff, I was like, oh, that's what serious disposable income looks like. That's like too much Oprah money.
Yeah.
That's like crazy ass, weird. And I don't necessarily ever want. I don't know what I would do with that. I would have to give it away or
give
figure
it
out
away.
a
It'd be fun to
foundation.
give away, though.
It would
It'd be fun to get a lot of money to give away.
Would you do anything like if you had Oprah money? What would you do with it?
I'd give it away.
To who?
Because I think it's.
You got any dreams?
I would start. I would. This
Start
is
a
what I always
comedy
think
club.
if I was. Spots 7 nights a week.
Sweet, sweet
I
spots.
just won the lottery.
You're just handing people $1,000 bills, going, "Can I get up?" Yeah, you can.
No, I would just start a Gmail account called like Powerball Lady. That's what I thought if I won that $1 billion one.
Yeah.
That was just, and people would. I just say email me,
Tell me your tale.
and yeah,
Oh wow,
I might write you a check.
I might write you a check.
Yeah.
That's awesome. There was I think it was a Gregory Peck movie.
What?
It was a
Really?
Frank Capra. It was, he won, he inherited a bunch of money. I think it was John Doe or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone's yelling at their iPod right now. But he was.
First of all, no one but you has an iPod anymore. It's an iPad.
or an iPhone.
Someone's yelling at their iPod. It's like, get out of here. You're
might.
from 1992.
They might have those little ones, like when people run.
No, they
when
don't,
people
Jackie.
exercise. No one's exercising with their iPod either.
No.
Okay, I don't know what people are exercising with. I don't have any idea. I walked today.
They're exercising with their very handy giant 6-foot
Android?
iPhone 6s. Yeah.
iPhone 6s, and they're
Yeah.
they're just like they're just propping it up next to them like it's a billboard.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But it was an interesting. It was one of those Frank Capra movies that took place during the Depression, and it took place during the Depression because it was shot during the Depression. Jackie, here, let's keep going. Anyway, but it was he inherited all this money, and so he just had people who had lost their farms just line up, and they called him crazy, and they wanted to put him away, and then there was a love story. It was
Oh.
nice. I think it
You
was
know
Meet
what?
John Doe, maybe. I don't know what it was called.
I'll check it out.
Sure. Look for all of Capra's work, you guys. It was nice. And George Cukor. Anyway,
Did he do Gone with the Wind? That was one of my favorite movies ever.
You
ever.
loved Gone
John
with the
Cooper.
Wind?
Yeah, it was great.
my mother loved it. I never.
I thought Vivian Lee gave a great comic performance.
Really?
She's funny.
Is she really funny?
She's funny as Scarlett O'Hara because it's such an unlikable character.
Yeah.
And she's really funny as her.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Give it another try.
Sometimes
Especially the opening scene where she's sitting with the boys, with
Yeah.
the twins that are trying to bang her.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And
Check
she's
it out.
just-
she's just being Scarlett. She's just being
juggling their love.
Yeah, easily.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
The Tarleton, I think it's the Tarleton twins, if I remember.
I'm
correctly.
definitely gonna check that out because I'm always looking for tips on how to handle the fellas, and
I almost thought of something different to say. Hey, we hired a new writer at Conan.
yeah,
And a new
Is she
Monlight
great?
writer. Yeah, her name is Leah Krinsky.
Leah Krinsky.
And she's awesome.
There's another woman writing on late night.
Yeah.
You gotta love that.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
She's very experienced. She's like our age. She was on Dennis Miller. She was on Bill Maher. She's really funny.
So she's age appropriate.
Yes.
And good at her work.
Good at her job.
And now employed.
Yeah.
All the three things that people should be when they're 45, 50 years
Yeah,
old,
when
right?
they're kicking ass.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but she did the first abortion joke I ever saw in like a regular club where I was like, oh, that's how you do it. And it was something like I'm gonna botch it up right now, but it was something like there's protesters outside of a Planned Parenthood, and this is like in 92.
Oh,
so
they're
people
still
weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
Comics weren't really talking about it.
No, it was early.
And she's like, I was so pissed off. I went inside, I had an abortion, and I wasn't even pregnant. And I think people have done versions of that since then, but she was the first one I saw do it, and she did it like in San Leandro, which is Sons of Anarchy town, if anyone watches. And people were like, they loved it. And I was like,
so great.
Oh, it's kind of this aggressive.
You can do anything anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the proof.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I'll tell you.
Then I started doing abortion jokes after that. She inspired me. And then all these years later, we're working together. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that is great. I did a cunt joke in 1997, and it was the guy came up to me afterwards. He's dead now. The comic Mike Veneman. Do you remember Mike Veneman?
I don't know if I knew him. I know that name, though.
I was featuring, and that's what you want, the feature to do.
This is the Dead Comic Show.
It's the
Bad news.
There you go. And that's the name. But he came up to me after my set, and he goes, "That's the one word you can't say." It was 95, I think, and I said, "It's the one word you can't say. You don't have one." And then the booker came up to me. I think it was Mueller, Ken Mueller, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,"
because I guess Veneman narked on me. He fucking narked on me and told Mueller that I had done a cunt joke.
No.
Yeah. So Mueller comes up. He's like, "Did you do a cunt joke?" And I didn't even.
He called. Wait, was he there at the gig?
Yeah, it was the Spaghetti Works in South Dakota.
Sure.
Anyway, so
I like how you didn't want to say that for a really long time.
You remember the Spaghetti Works gig. Yeah. So anyway, but that was his home. That was his home. He lived in that town in South Dakota.
Why wouldn't you? If you run a Spaghetti Works, why would you leave
Free
South
spaghetti.
Dakota?
Why would you leave? The pasta was amazing. So whatever, but he comes up to me after, and he had been running the rest of the restaurant or whatever, and he comes up, he says, "Did you really do a cunt joke?" And I didn't even imagine. I had come up in such
Huntsville, Wisconsin is where you're from.
Huntsville, Wisconsin, where you could do any joke ever, and it was your job. And if the audience didn't like it, they just did what, quite honestly, they did that night, which is not respond to it and not be excited about it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, it didn't work." and he was like, "You can't say cunt in my room." And I was like, "What? No? Why not?" I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm going to keep writing. It's not a great joke. I don't care. I won't do it again." And he's like, "Yeah," and then he never booked me again.
He had a lot of shitty gigs.
I know he had some shitty one-nighters, and I missed him. I missed him for a year and a half. But you know what I did? I went east. I went east to other shitty gigs. I went Yoder.
There's a lot of shitty ones.
Because Mueller was west of Minneapolis. Yeah. I went Yoder.
Yeah.
I went east of Minneapolis.
Did you ever do Tribble?
I never did. Never made it that far west.
Maybe one day we'll do a Tribble run together.
Oh, Jesus, that'd be hilarious. I got to meet him.
Yeah,
he gave me his card.
He's
well, that's what I said. It was too loud. He gave me his card because I was it was some contest he was judging, and I was doing the closing set during the judging.
Yeah,
and so he comes up to me, and this guy gives me his card and says, "I've never heard of you. You're really funny." And I was like, "I'm a well-kept secret in show business, whoever you are." And the guy hands me, and then he walks away, and I look at the card, and it says Dave Tribble, and I run him down, and I was like, "You're Dave Tribble?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Dude, you're a legend. You're a famous legend." And he was like, "That's where I meet people, on the way up and on the way down." And I was like, "Well, look for me in about 10 years, buddy."
We are on the way down. Let's do it.
I say it'll be like The Wrestler, and we'll do Tribble runs.
That movie hurt to watch. It was so.
I couldn't.
So close.
I couldn't see it. I turned it off.
Is
Chris Hardwick's doing a show downstairs.
Chris Hardwick's downstairs.
He's doing beta test. I was hoping actually to do a work.
Are you going to try and fucking get on that set?
Yeah.
Oh my
Why
God.
not? Right?
Get on that stage.
Where are we at time wise?
We are at an hour.
Well, that's kind
Holy
of exciting.
shit. Yeah.
We filled
I figured they started right at the hour. We filled it. Yeah, guys, we didn't have any crazy news stories about,
anything, but we went to the vault.
Yeah.
We did something. We talked about some damn thing.
All right. Well, I'm
Jackie Cation.
I'm Laurie Martin. This will come out a couple weeks after it's been recorded, so we might obviously we're going to miss some good stories, but we will hit them all next week. So whoever's whoever's being accused of something will be fucking on it the week after, okay?
Yeah, so keep it in your pants, gentlemen, because we will be talking about you if you don't keep it together in the next 3 damn weeks.
All right, I'm Laurie Kilmartin.
I'm Jackie Gajan.
Bye.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.